I swear to you, I cannot make this shit up. Like I can't. I can't make this. I'm gonna tell you guys a little story. If you guys didn't know, well, you guys don't know, obviously. I am a medical assistant. Currently, I work for an agency that does like personal care services. I used to work when I was doing clinicals for my associate's degree in medical assisting. I volunteered, or not volunteered, it was my clinicals, but I didn't get paid for the time I was there. So technically it was kind of like I was volunteering, but it was going towards, you know, my skills for my degree. Anyways, I was volunteering at this place. It was a clinic. It was a free clinic basically for everybody who, you know, needed healthcare, you know, whether it was checkups or, you know, if they were sick, whatever. And that's where I did my clinicals. So I woke up, and this wasn't my first day at clinicals. I had been there for a few weeks. And I went there and we were just having checkups. You know, people were coming in, maybe refill their medication and things like that. My first patient that day, his appointment was at 8:15. I'm not gonna say his name, obviously, but it was a man. He was in like his mid-30s, and I was like 19 at the time. So I took his chart and I saw that he was diabetic. He was going in there for basically for like a checkup to check his levels and to get a refill prescription basically. I call him back, and very nice man, you know, it was normal. I asked him, you know, if there was anything that was concerning him, whatever. So he gets on the examination table, which is weird because normally people sit, if it's just like a checkup, people normally sit in like the chair, one or two chairs that are there. He sat at the table, whatever. So I'm asking him his questions and whatnot. And in this particular clinic for diabetics, the medical assistants had to check their feet. Because diabetic people tend to have problems with blood flow, circulation to their feet and things like that. It was basically, you know, protocol. So I asked him if I could check his feet, right? Girl, I asked him if I could check his feet because, you know, he was a diabetic, and I was just making sure, you know, he didn't have any sores or anything like that. And obviously his nails were good and whatever. Because we did have a podiatrist at that time in the clinic, and podiatrists, you know, basically deal with feet. So he asked me to step away and give him some privacy to take his shoes off. Now, I thought that was a little strange, but who am I to judge? You know what I mean? Maybe he had some fucked up socks or I don't know. So I step out and I'm, you know, writing his vitals down in the chart while he's doing that. And maybe he wanted to put lotion on him. You know how some people be ashy and shit. It's like, you know, I understand you don't want to be embarrassed at the doctor's office. Trust me, no judgment, okay? No judgment. Anyways, so about 2 minutes go by and I'm standing at the other side of the door of the examination room, and I didn't hear a peep. I mean, he was quiet. I don't know what he was doing, but he was quiet. So obviously, you know, I can't give the doctor the chart until I've checked off, you know, basically my whole checklist of things. And I had to check his feet. So after about like 2 minutes of not hearing anything from this guy, I knock on the door and he's like, yeah. And I was like, are you okay? Like, can I come in? And he said, yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm done. My you know, my shoes are off or whatever. So I opened the door and he's still sitting at the examination table, but he doesn't have any shoes or socks on. So I put my gloves on or whatever because I was just like a little concerned that he was hiding something in his feet or that his feet were gross or something. I don't know. So I put my gloves on even though I wasn't planning on touching his feet or anything. And I saw that he had a little scrape, and with diabetic patients, a little scrape can turn into something really bad really fast because of the circulation. So I saw that he had a little scrape, but it was a little bit scabbed over. So I just went with my hand and he was like, wait, what are you doing? And like, pause, like everything stopped. And I was like, oh, do you mind if can I bring your foot closer? So I went and picked up his foot by the heel and I bring it closer to me and I'm looking at it, right? And I see that it's scabbed over. And I was like, this is probably nothing. I'll make a note of it in the chart. But I'm telling him this as I'm still holding the heel of his foot. And I was holding his foot by the heel. And I was looking up at him because I had to kneel on my knees because he was, sitting. And I'm looking at him and I'm telling him, this is probably going to be okay. It's probably just a little scrape. The reason I was telling him this is because I thought this was the reason that he asked me to step away before I could see his foot. Well, I guess the reason he was adamant about me touching his feet was because it was going to get him excited, if you know what I mean. So anyways, so I'm holding his foot by the heel, right? And I'm looking at him, and out of nowhere, it was legit like a cartoon, like something out of like a 90s cartoon skit or something. His dick, like pokes up a little bit in between his legs, like his zipper kind of pointed up a little bit, and because it was kind of one of those things that was hard to ignore because I was kneeling in front of him and he was sitting. Anyways, so I see that his zipper raised up a little bit. So I immediately, it was like a 0.3 seconds or something. Like I was looking at him. I noticed the zipper went curved a little bit, like his pants curved a little bit, like his, penis erected. So I'm looking at him, I look back at him, and he's like, he has this weird look on his face of like a little bit embarrassed with a little bit like, yeah, what are you gonna do about it kind of thing. Like it was a little bit creepy. So I put his heel down, or, step away, and I get off of my knees and I'm straightening my scrubs. And I was like, okay, well, the doctor will come and see you. Do you need anything else? And he said, yeah, can I have some water? And I wasn't about to go back into that room because I was a little bit iffy after what had just happened. So I stepped out of the room. I went and looked for the other medical assistant. Her name was Tabitha. And I went to look for Tabitha, and Tabitha's like, oh, yeah, that happens. He's like that. And I was just like, what? Mind you, I was like 19 and he was in his like mid 30s. And I automatically thought, ew, gross, he's old. Obviously, I'm closer to 30 now than I was then. So obviously I don't think 30 is that old. But back then I was like, ew, like this is gross, whatever. So I asked Tabitha to, you know, get him like a glass of water, and she did, and it was good. And the doctor came in and, you know, gave him the refill on the medications that he needed, and I went about my day. But it was the first time ever I've had a patient get hard while I was in the room, especially since I wasn't doing anything sexual. I mean, yeah, I was kneeling in front of him, checking his feet out, and I did touch his feet, but I still don't think that that was like a sexual thing enough to get somebody excited. I don't know. Guys are wired differently. I get it. I mean, I don't, but I do. So yeah, it was the first time ever that had happened. I don't think it has happened since then, actually. It was embarrassing. I was embarrassed for him. I also felt a little bit bad for him. It was just so weird because it wasn't even the fact that I wasn't doing a sexual act. It was also, I was in scrubs and my hair was up. I had no makeup on. I didn't think I looked, which he could have been, you know, excited from, you know, something he did the night before or something. I'm not saying he was excited to see me. But it was still a weird interaction. Later on that day, at the end of the day, I checked with my nursing instructor, and she basically said, you know, that's normal, that happens, and you handled it well, and you know, you're very mature, and yeah, that's one of the joys of working as a medical assistant. Sometimes your patient may or may not get hard. Don't let this scare you away, though, if you are thinking about pursuing a job or a career in the medical field. This type of thing, I don't think it's that common. I haven't heard of anybody, you know, any other medical assistants or CNAs or things like that, you know, getting into this type of situation. So, you know, don't let that scare you if you are trying to go in the medical field. Just know that it may happen, and it's gonna be awkward. And so I hope you enjoyed that story time. Please subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate it. And if you enjoyed, you know, this little story time, give this video a thumbs up. So subscribe and be kind, and I love you guys. I hope you're having a wonderful day and have an awesome rest of the week. Okay? Mwah. Bye.